Time Walk with me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Time Walk with me. I'm the Time Walker, and this deck was inspired by a suggestion from Commander's Quarters a few years ago, about 3 years ago, though they didn't say anything specifically about how to build the deck. It's commanded by Cody Vociferous Codex. Yes, this is my second Cody deck on this channel. Cody is a 1/4 construct artifact creature who costs 3 generic mana to cast. That's very cheap and very easy to scrounge together, and because he's a mana rock, there's almost no need for any ramp in this deck. The downside to Cody is a big one. You can't cast permanent spells, but as you'll see, and as you may have seen in the last Cody deck I made, that doesn't mean you'll have an empty battlefield. For 4 generic mana, you get 1 mana of every color. Then the next time you cast a spell, you exile the top card of your library until you exile an instant or sorcery with a lower mana cost, which you can then play for free. Put the rest of the exiled cards on the bottom of your library. This deck is full of 1 mana spells because your real goal is to cast this card over and over again. Inevitable Betrayal. This blue sorcery has no mana cost, meaning its mana value is 0. It has Suspend, but that doesn't matter. You'll mostly be casting it with Cody's ability. It lets you search an opponent's library for a creature card and put it onto the battlefield under your control. You'll be able to start casting this as early as your 4th turn because only 1 instant or sorcery spell in this deck costs less than 1. Every time you cast a 1 mana spell with Cody's mana ability, you'll also get to basically tutor for Inevitable Betrayal and steal a creature from an opponent. You could end up with a 4th turn Darksteel Colossus or Craw Giant. Abundant Harvest. This serves to basically replace itself in your hand with your choice of either a land or a non-land. It's a sorcery version of Abundance, one of my favorite cards. Acrobatic Leap. I put in a few cards that allow you to untap Cody and maybe use him more than once per turn. It can also make him into a temporarily good surprise blocker. Alley Evasion. With Cody out, you won't be able to cast permanent spells, but spells like this get around that restriction by returning Cody to your hand. Then you're free to use the remaining 4 mana to cast a helpful enchantment or artifact. Birthday Escape. Blacksmith's Skill. Cards like this protect Cody. I put quite a few of these in the deck. Bushwhack. You might not need the extra land, but it won't hurt to have. Clock Spinning. This spell is cool because if you pay the buyback cost, it goes back into your hand instead of your graveyard, and you'll be able to afford to buy it back because you'll have 5 mana from Cody. Defiant Strike. Eaten Alive. Extra costs don't raise the spell's mana value. It's defined only by what is printed in the top right corner of the card. Escape from Orthanc. Fight as 1. Fleeting Distraction. Gift of the Viper. This is a really good removal spell. Cast it on Cody to turn him into a Death Toucher that can block flyers. High Stride. Light the Way. Loren's Escape. Mind Games. You'll have to grab an extra blue mana to cast this and pay its buyback, but it's worth it. Obsessive Search. Opt. Overmaster. This prevents Inevitable Betrayal from being countered. Path to Exile. 1 mana staples are a no-brainer for this deck. Pongify, or Pongify, I think it's Pongify. Preordain. Professor's Warning. Royal Treatment. Runic Shot. You can pay the kicker for this and still search for the betrayal. Select for Inspection. Shore Up. Sleight of Hand. Slip Through Space. Snakeskin Veil. Steel Sabotage. Sudden Spinnerets. Swords to Plowshares. 3 Steps Ahead. Cody doesn't allow you to cast sorceries at instant speed, so you won't likely be using his mana to use this spell's top mode. There are a few artifacts you might want to copy with it though, and at the very least, the last mode is almost always useful to help you sift through your library. Wings of the Cosmos. You see a guard approach, and you are ambushed on the road. Putting Inevitable Betrayal back into your library is essential to this deck, so I put in lots of cards to do that. Barkform Harvester. You'll have to either return Cody to your hand or cast this before you cast Cody, but repeatable recursion works extremely well here. Blessed Respite. This gets you back your whole graveyard, and it protects you from a nasty attack. Clear the Mind. Having multiple instants and sorceries that shuffle cards back into your library means you'll never run out. They'll just keep recycling each other. Dwell on the Past. Felden's Cane. Gaia's Blessing. 2 mana to get your betrayal back and draw a card is a good deal. Memory's Journey. This spell is even cheaper to flash back than it is to cast in the first place. Keep in mind that if you pay its flashback cost, its mana value is still 2. You won't be using Cody to cast recursion spells anyway, since you're casting them because Inevitable Betrayal isn't available to search for. Mnemonic Nexus. This makes everyone shuffle their graveyard into their library, so it's good against graveyard strategies. Reclaim. This spell is a little tricky. You'll want to cast it during your turn before you've used Cody, so the Betrayal is at the top of your library when you use his ability to cast another 1-mana spell. Raito Sentinel? Reminisce. Salvage. This is a sorcery version of Reclaim, and you'll use it the same way. Serene Remembrance. This spell recycles itself and can be used against an opponent's graveyard deck. Stream of Thought. This one might actually help a graveyard deck, but that can be played to your advantage. Thran Foundry. And Turn the Earth. Here's another recursion spell with flashback. Though Cody doesn't allow you to cast permanent spells, when he's not around, you're free to do what you want. Door to Nothingness. Cody helps you get one set of Wooburg mana, and with untap effects, he can even get you both. Foundry Inspector. This makes Cody cheaper to cast or recast. Manifold Key and Voltaic Key. These get you more mana from Cody and possibly multiple casts of Inevitable Betrayal if you use your recursion right. And Thousand Year Storm. With this out, you'll get 2 Inevitable Betrayals for the price of 1. After that, additional spells that turn will be even more effective. Beast Within and Generous Gift. Cultivate. Ramp is not a priority in this deck since it uses mana very efficiently, but I figured I'd put in a little. And Introduction to Annihilation. The lands are almost all basics since color fixing really isn't an issue. Command Tower. To not put this in a 5-color deck would be a crime, and I'm not going back to Magic Prison. And Crystal Quarry. This can help get that second set of Wooburg mana to get Door to Nothingness going. And that's it! What do you think of my Cody Vociferous Codex / Inevitable Betrayal deck? Give me your kind thoughts in the comment section, keep any rudeness to yourself, and remember, President Elon Musk and First Lady Donald Trump are the very last people who should ever run a country.